Hello and welcome back to Sayanti Fine Arts. I am still continuing with my Durga Puja related art streak, and as I'm continuing, I am adding one more painting to the occasion. And today I decided to continue messing around with the concept of the third eye that I just started exploring in my last episode, in my last painting. So today's painting, I named it Bisharjan. Bisharjan is a Bengali term which symbolizes the immersion of the idol of the goddess Durga in the water, and that marks the end of the celebration, the festival of Durga Puja. However, the term Bisharjan also means letting go. So as you are immersing the idol, you are also letting go of your festivities. Not only it is the festivities, the concept of third eye, bringing in the concept of third eye, what I tried to explore is that as we let go of our conscious self, it is then when our mind's eyes open. And that is the basic concept behind the third eye. The third eye is a very mystical concept which actually symbolizes our subconscious and our enlightenment that is hidden beyond our conscious selves. So as we immerse the goddess, we are letting go of our conscious selves, conscious demands and wants and needs, and opening our mind up to the enlightenment, to the realm of infinite possibilities. And that is my thought process behind the painting today. I am working with oils today, so without much ado, let's go into the tutorial. And as usual, let me know in your comments what you think about this painting and what else you would like to see. Thank you for watching.
I'm starting off by blocking in the face with a general skin tone that I built out of white, red, yellow, and little bit of raw umber. And those are basically the colors that I will be using for the face in different gradients, along with a little bit of purple and blue here and there, for getting the different lights and shades in the skin. So all you need is white, red, yellow, and raw umber, or you can use burnt sienna, burnt umber, whatever you prefer, as a kind of like a brown. You can see that in this particular case, I had painted the whole canvas yellow, and a part of it is kind of like overdone with the raw umber on top of the yellow. The reason I painted the whole canvas yellow is that I was painting a different canvas yellow, and there was some yellow left over in my palette, and I just did not think much and just toned the whole canvas yellow because I like to work with a toned canvas. But later I realized, no, that's not going to work, because I am going to paint water in this particular painting, and when I try to paint transparent layers of water on top of yellow, that will turn green. Now some amount of green is okay in water, but it will turn more green than I want it to be. I want it to be more blue than green. Anyway, so that was the story about the toning of the canvas. Now back to the face. After blocking the general face with the basic skin tone, you can see that I came back with lots of purples and browns and a little bit of red and yellow pulled in with it to define some of the shadow areas. And often on you will see that I am laying the paint with a filbert brush and then coming back with a mop brush to kind of smoothen the edges. I don't want my brush strokes to show. I want them to the painting to be very smooth and very well finished. So any brush strokes that I create when I'm laying the paint, I will take care of it using my mop brush. My mop brush is my best friend in most parts of the painting. Although it looks like I'm defining some of the details, I am still basically blocking in most of the painting. Once I kind of blocked in most of the face, I went on to the water part, and I have used ultramarine blue and phthalo blue in different combinations, sometimes a little bit more of this, sometimes a little bit less of that, and with white, titanium white mixed in because I wanted an opaque blue color for blocking in most of the water areas. And some of the areas I have left it really light, some of the areas are a little bit darker. Now for the water, I will work in multiple layers. In the first layer, I am just blocking in general shapes and ripples of water all over the place, some in darker blues, some in lighter blues, varying the shades of blue in different ways. Now I am adding straight up titanium white just around the face to define the face and make it look like it is coming out of water. Just that little bit of titanium white is going to kind of get the face lifted from the surface of the water, which I want. But you will see that later I will come back with some light shade of blue and diffuse some of these white lines that I'm creating with the titanium white. So you will see that I am creating several layers of white lines and ripples and wiggly lines with titanium white and unbleached titanium white at certain places. And then once those white lines dry, I will top them with a glaze of blue and then come again back with maybe a lighter layer or a darker layer of whites, defining the layers. That kind of shows the play of water very well. You cannot really get that kind of details and that kind of depth in water just by painting one single layer. Again, for the eyes, we'll see that I am defining the darks first, and once the darks are laid, on top of that I'm coming back with lighter colors to blend in the darks and lights and bringing out the eye really well. If you look at the pupil of the eye, it is not one solid color. It is never one brown or black. There are several colors in it. The darker areas have brown mixed or rather raw umber mixed with a little bit of blue and black, and the lighter areas has a basic coat of yellow, and then I have come back with a little bit of red, somewhere a little bit of raw umber, and even a little bit of Indian yellow, depending on the different gradients I wanted to build inside the face. A lot of times in this face you will see that I have created the shadow areas with a lot of purple. Now this is how you incorporate the surroundings into your paintings, because the surroundings is water, which is blue, and the face is basically a flesh tint, which is kind of like a combination of yellow and red if you subtract the white part. So when the water color reflects on the face, it should give you a more purpley shadow than the general brownish reddish shadow that you would generally see in the water. I think this is a very important part in painting portraits, to blend or try to incorporate the portrait into the surroundings, and not just, the background is completely separate and your face is completely separate. Try to incorporate the background into the portrait itself. That is always my end goal. Now some artists may want to differ from this process. Their painting process may be different, but this is what I prefer to do, and this is what I think works in my paintings, because the backgrounds have special denominations for me. It's just not, I just don't put any background in any portrait. I try to make it work like there is a meaning, essence to the background that I've put to that painting. There is a relation generally that I put in the background of a portrait. In this case, the water, as I said, is a symbol of letting go and drowning and immersion. So obviously that has a lot of importance as much as it's the face. So I want it to be a part of the face and totally incorporated in the portrait. So you can see that I am continuously defining the darks and lights. I have defined some of the areas where I wanted my highlights to be first, and then around that I'm building lights and darks and darks and lights. I worked on these portraits on 4 different days just to let the initial coat dry and then be able to glaze on top of that, then again let it dry and then glaze on top of that. I doubt if I could kind of possibly work in 1 day and get that results. Now I am working into furthermore details around the face and the water. This was my first time painting water so closely. I have painted lots of seas and beaches and crashing waves and ripples and all those sorts of things. However, they have been like a far off shot. This one is the closest kind of water that I have painted, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. And definitely there is a series coming up which involves a lot of figurative work and water, and maybe in some upcoming paintings I will define more how I create the ripples and works. But if you have watched carefully, you would have noted what I have done is just layers, and working in different layers, it wouldn't be difficult for anybody to get the effects that I have got in the water. One thing I did not like about this painting after the painting ended is how I drew painted the eyebrows. I don't think it is grammatically correct. The arch is a little bit more centered than I wanted it to be. It should have been a little bit on the further side of the face, especially on the left eye. So that's now you can see that I am creating further more lines of white in the for creating the ripples. And once I create those white lines, I am diffusing some of them by blending them partly, because I don't want that a lot of white wiggly lines all over the place taking the attention away from the face, because yes, the water is a crucial integral part of this painting. However, the face is where I want the attention to go, so I had to tone the ripples, the whites in the ripples a lot by blending some of it and then coming back with layers of blue and green color on top of the white to tone some of them down, to push them back a little bit. I don't want it to be the foreground. I want the face to be the foreground, and water is just the surroundings, important surroundings, but just surroundings. So you can still see that some of the whites are really stark white here, and you will see that slowly they will kind of be pushed back as I blend some of them off, and then once the layer dries, I paint glaze on top of them of different layer. Even in the hair, once I blocked in the general layout of the hair with dark brown black color, I went on top of it and glazed it with blue so that it kind of looks like under the water, which is bluish. So that's the general essence. Now I am defining the final details on my face, adding in more lights and darks. As usual, I am focusing on contrast and hyping them up as much as possible. And there we come to the end of the paintings. I'm going to go over the details first and then the entire painting. I hope you love the painting. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And do not forget to hit the subscribe and like button. Thank you for watching.